Hello, I'm Fire Commissioner Ayers, and I'm here today to welcome you to Freedom from Fire. Freedom from Fire is a program where we bring to you different subjects and interesting people so that you can understand why it's important to be safe from fire, and you can understand what you need to do to keep your family safe. One of the first things I like to say is, don't let it happen to you. You should always remember that taking the time to make sure that you have smoke alarms, one on every level, making sure that they're working, testing those smoke alarms, making sure that your family knows exactly what to do should the smoke alarms go off, and absolutely having a home escape plan so that everyone can get out and be safe in case a fire happens in your home. One of the key pieces that you have to understand is that a home fire safety checklist will allow you to assess yourself and make sure that you're safe based on the dangers that are in your home. And that home fire safety checklist is a list, about 30 items in 6 different categories that'll tell you exactly what to do to fix whatever is wrong as far as a hazard in your home. If you do those 3 things, 1, making sure that you have the smoke alarms. 2, making sure that you have an escape plan for your family. 3, making sure that you have a home fire safety checklist. And then number 4, making sure that you take the pledge to keep your family safe. Those are the things that we want to bring to you in this beautiful program, Freedom from Fire, because that's what it's all about. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I have the Deputy Commissioner for Technical Services for the City of Philadelphia Fire Department, Mr. John Devlin. And he's going to sit here and we're going to talk about some of the things that he does and some of the things that we're doing in our Philadelphia Fire Department today. First, John, if you'll introduce yourself and tell them a few things about what you do and how long you've been in the department, things like that.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's a pleasure to be with you here today to help to educate people about fire safety. I've been with the Philadelphia Fire Department for 39 years. I'll be starting my 40th year, hopefully in another 2 months. And I've worked my way up through the ranks, and as you know, 6 years ago you asked me to be your deputy, and it's been a pleasure, and I can't believe how fast that time has gone. Yes. So we've certainly had a good time helping to make the city safer.
Absolutely.
And through these years, I can tell you, and you've have just about as much time as I have, it wasn't uncommon that when we first came in the department that as many as 120 people died a year in fires. And we've worked very hard to educate the public, and we know that through education, public education, and through the use of smoke alarms and home escape plans, we've been able to drive that number down. The last 3 years, we've had the lowest 3 years in the history of the department, starting with 33 and then 32 last year.
Yes.
And happily to say this year, we have 7 so far this year compared to 14 last year. So I'm not pushing my luck, but
Absolutely
we
not.
know that the trend is going down, and we know that is through education, and what we're doing right here today is part of that, and I think it's very important, so I'm very happy to be here with you.
Well, one of the things that we need our audience to know is that it's not just the fire deaths that's going down.
Right.
It's the fires, the incidents of fire. It's also the injuries from fire.
That's true.
And the fire deaths, of course, follow those types of patterns. So it's been really good. Now, one of the things I'd like to talk about is one of the programs that we have for our seniors. Now, pretty much everyone knows Freedom from Fire is our overarching program.
Right.
But under that umbrella, we have many different programs going on in all parts of the city and all of the different demographics. But one special program I'd like to talk about is our senior program.
Right.
Now, would you explain about?
Well, we know that every year one of our most vulnerable populations are our seniors,
Yes.
along with our young children. And we've tried to address that by trying to identify the people, and we're trying to identify them prior to a fire happening. And we've done a lot of work in trying to use marketing techniques that we've never used before, and we're trying to get into that so we can sort of predict the most vulnerable population. And we have very limited resources. We know that if we can prevent fires, that's easier than fighting the fires. And with today's money crunches and having to cut back on resources. It's much better to fight the fire before it happens than after it happens. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get out, identify these people, and make sure they're protected through education and making sure that they have smoke alarms in their properties, one on every level, to make sure they're safe. So that's what we're doing, and it seems to be working.
Yes, well, one of the things that I like to talk about is fighting the fire before the fire.
That's right.
Fire prevention itself.
Right.
That's a concept that starts with Ben Franklin and the Union Fire Company, the first fire company organized in this country, which we are part of. And fire prevention now is absolutely a change for many Philadelphians stopping and hearing us talk about fire prevention in such a manner, and also taking smoke alarms into the homes and actually doing the installs. So it started a while ago, but now the volume seems to be through the roof, which is what we want, right?
Right. Well, we've been around for a while, not just you and I, but the Philadelphia Fire Department, a professional fire department, was March 15th, 1871 is when it started. We're, in another few weeks, we'll be celebrating our 141st anniversary. But the fire department goes back 275 years to December 7th, 1736, when Ben and the boys put it together and started. But it even goes back to William Penn, when he laid out the city and put it in a grid system so that cars or at that time, wagons could get around.
Yes.
And they wanted to make fire breaks, and that's why they had straight streets instead of curved streets. And that's why they weren't allowed to have the wooden roofs anymore. They tried to get away. They tried to have masonry buildings. So these are some of the things. Fire prevention goes back to the very beginning of Philadelphia. And these are some of the things which are, this is what we continue to try to do. And our messages really don't change. It's just we try to package it in different ways to meet the times and to try to get the word out, because people forget. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to remind them to be safe in their environment, because things can break down.
Now, when we stop and we think about our programs that we're doing now, and especially the program directed at our seniors, one of the things that I enjoy about it is the fact that we're focused, we're targeting, we're going into communities, we're heading to the different community centers, all of those types of things. Now, what is that program? I know it's a certain amount of money that was allotted, and I understand that it's a certain amount of smoke alarms that's directed at our seniors, and a special smoke alarm that we have now that we are also distributing.
Well, we have several programs. We've been targeting the seniors for quite a few years through the Remember When program.
Yes.
That was one of the programs that we do, and we continue to do it in senior citizen centers. We try to educate them, about many of the things besides the fact that they are medicated. Many seniors are taking over-the-counter medication along with prescription medication, which may tend them to forget. That's why we want to make sure that they're safe in their environment. Hearing is another issue. Right now with this program that we've started, we also have hearing smoke alarms that are for hearing impaired.
Yes.
All right. So these hearing, they're through radio transmitters. They're able to receive the signal and notify the person through a vibrating pad under the pillow, and also a strobe light, which has helped to get them. And most people don't realize it, but if they wear hearing aids during the day, they don't wear them when they go to sleep. So they are actually impaired when they go to sleep. And these are some of the people that we're trying to target through this program, which has never been targeted before. So we're very excited about that. We're also excited about just the fact that we're able to target people that we think are most likely to have a fire, which is something we've never done before. So we're very excited about doing that, because of the dwindling resources we have now. We have to make the most of them, and we have to get them to where they're really needed. And so far, we've had a success with it.
Yeah, so that's pretty much cutting edge work now when we stop to talk about actually looking at the individual household, targeting that household, and making sure that they have the things to keep them safe within that household. Right. Now, a lot of money was allotted for that. That's pretty fat pockets there. How much money was
I believe it was $582,000.
$582,000.
Which we were able to get through a grant.
Okay.
And we were able to put that to some very good use. We also have senior cubes, which are part of that program. Quite a few years ago, we came up with a cube program for children, which is sort of, it's like a Rubik's Cube. If anybody's tried to do that, I've given up trying to do that. My son can do it in about 10 seconds, but I've given up to it. But we now have a cube that children use to teach fire prevention, and we've also come out with a version for adults. And it's much easier to operate than a Rubik's Cube.
And it gives a message.
And it gives messages any way you turn it, any way you open it up and reform it. It has different messages, and it's very important.
Well, that's good. And I want to commend you and your team for having the successes that they have had in writing those grants, difficult, competing with cities all across the country, and being able to go out there, compete, and land those dollars for our citizens here in the city of Philadelphia. So that's really, really powerful message, and it talks about the quality of the folks that you have working for you, their professionalism, and the fact that they understand that Freedom from Fire is more than just sitting back talking about it. It's about work. Now, one of the other things I wanted to talk about today is the children's program. Now, we talked about our seniors, and I know that we have several children's programs that we do. And I know we got a grant for a trailer and some cubes as well.
Going back a few years ago, we were able to get a grant. I'm trying to remember the exact value of the grant. I believe it was about $80-some thousand. We were able to get a trailer out of that, a smoke trailer, which is a valuable teaching aid. And throughout the summer, we were able to take it to different rec centers and have the children go through it. And we average about, I think last year we had over 40,000 children affected.
40,000 children.
That's right. And it was just amazing. With the CUBE program, we were able to reach out with the CUBE program, and we were able to get the children to go through there, and we reached and touched a lot of children with that. And
now, we targeted children from kindergarten to third grade, I believe,
Correct.
in that first round of the cubes and the grants, and they went to all of the schools around the city.
Went to the schools and also went to the playgrounds and the rec centers, and we were able to reach out to a lot of children, and I think it makes a big difference.
And now, every time I see the children going through the trailer, they're lining up like it's a ride at an amusement park or something.
Well, it is a lot of fun, but there's nothing wrong with mixing a little fun with learning a very important lesson, a survival lesson. So as they go through there, they learn all the hazards that you find in a normal house. The thing is laid out like a normal house. So they teach you the kind of hazards you'll get in the kitchen from the stove, from wiring. Electrical causes are the leading cause of fire deaths in the city of Philadelphia. Last year we had 10. Usually it's between smoking and electrical. Now, electrical was 10 just for extension cords, but if you add electrical appliances and hardwired, it comes up to 14, I believe.
Yes.
Followed by 7 for smoking and 5 for cooking. So these are some of the lessons that are taught as they go through the trailer. We teach them about the hazards of cooking, how that can cause a fire, the hazards of using extension cords, how that can cause a fire, how they have to be able to breathe and you can't cover them over, how the use of portable heaters and how that can cause a problem, 3 feet from any combustible materials.
Yes.
And don't use them on an extension cord that's not rated properly for them. And if at all possible, don't use an extension cord, just plug them directly into the wall. So there's a lot of great lessons that are learned in going through there.
Well, one of the important lessons that I see every time I walk into the trailer, and it just really hits home, the home escape.
Right.
Rolling out of the bed, there's a setup where the children actually roll out of the bed, they feel the door with the back of their hands, and they learn all of the things they should do. There's a window in there where they can yell for help and everything.
That's right. They learn what to do should they wake up when the smoke alarm goes off, how to feel the door to see if it's hot, and also to practice their escape plan and how important it is to have an escape plan, and also to have a meeting place outside when they want to call 911. So these are all the lessons that are taught in this trailer, and it was a great investment.
Yeah, so we're actually changing the culture as far as the fire safety culture.
Correct.
We're actually teaching from the children and then having that same type of interaction with our seniors. And of course, doing all of those things with the moms and the dads and the guardians and everybody else that's in the middle, in between those. So there's a serious culture change going on in Philadelphia. And we're doing the firefighters as well, because they're out there, they're having that interaction, and we'll have to bring Deputy Commissioner Hargett on and talk about how that interaction works for the firefighters, because they're very integral part of this?
Well, we've turned our districts. It used to be called a first in local. Now it's the Fire Safety and Education District. So every captain is now responsible for making sure that fire prevention is number one priority in his area, to make sure people are properly trained and prepared to react in an emergency. And we see the results of that every year with fire deaths going down and fire injuries going down.
Well, it goes back to the partnerships with not just the Fire Prevention Division, the firefighters that are on the back step, all those men and women that are out there. The paramedics have programs. They go in and they give out literature as well. So we have all of our folks in the organization partnering with the community.
That's right.
And getting a really solid message out. I think that that's great. It's been really nice talking with you here today, sharing that with all of our Freedom from Fire audience out there. And it's just been a pleasure. It has been a great 6 years, and we're looking forward to having some more years towards changing the culture of the citizens in the city of Philadelphia. So I want to say thank you again, and I'm looking forward to having you back to talk about some of the other areas of responsibility that you're in charge of.
My pleasure. Thank you. Anytime.
All right. Thank you. Freedom from Fire. This is what it's all about, having our guests here so that they can let you know what you need to do to have freedom from fire in your life and in your world. Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. And with me now, I have a very important part of the community, a very important person who takes care of a lot of citizens, and none other than Miss Elizabeth Armstrong. And she's one of our fire safety representatives. And welcome to Freedom from Fire.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for all of the things that you do. And fire safety representative is pretty new in Philadelphia to some folks,
Correct.
but not to those fire representatives that's scattered all across the city that do a great job as far as being one of our direct partners in the community. So how have you enjoyed it so far?
Tremendously. Having been a nurse for most of my professional life, helping people, this just is an extension into that. I work at the Sarah Care Adult Day Center up in Jenkintown, so I've done a lot of teaching with the seniors who come in for adult day. We also have a home health, so I try to do teaching with our new families that come in. And anytime Harry Perez sends me an email, you know, I try to print out from the email the press releases and distribute them on my block to my neighbors so that they have the information that's being shared with me.
And Harry Perez, for those folks that don't know, is one of our firefighters in fire prevention. And he's responsible for helping to coordinate those fire safety representatives.
Yeah.
And those emails back and forth, lots of information, talking with the community, going into your block and the surrounding areas.
Exactly.
And talking with folks. Very important. Now, when you find folks that don't have those smoke alarms or don't really have the fire prevention culture, we call it, how do you make that contact?
Well, you know, actually, our block captain, Eric Daniels, is a really involved block captain, and he was able actually last summer to go out, and he went and coordinated with the fire department in our area and had all smoke detectors installed for all the seniors and anyone who actually needed the smoke detectors. So everybody on my block got smoke detectors last summer.
Okay, so it was Harry Perez at Fire Prevention and the officers in your local
at
fire
the
company.
firehouse, correct.
So what was the interaction with them like?
They were very nice. They were very friendly. They were in and out. They got the job done, and they moved right on to the next neighbor. And I think they were done probably by midday.
Oh, fantastic.
So, but they were all very friendly. In fact, our local firehouse actually came out for a block party last summer. They brought the big truck. They got all the kids lined up. The kids were able to actually get into the fire truck to like a little tour. They loved it. They had the coloring books, the crayons, all the literature that children can understand. And it was a great thing.
That's excellent. So, in all of the fun and meeting the firefighters.
Exactly.
And
The kids
in
loved it.
Non-emergency situation, right? So they get to see them without the Darth Vader pack on and breathing and all of that.
Exactly.
So we like to see the children. They come, they try the helmets on, the boots, and all of those things. So they really enjoyed it.
They
I'm
really
sure.
enjoyed it, and it was nice. It was just nice. It was a beautiful day. They came and they didn't rush. They took their time. The kids really got to really see and talk to the firefighters. So, you know, you never know. You may have a future firefighter.
Yes, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, the interaction with the block captain. Now, you as a fire safety representative, talking with the block captain, identifying those folks.
Yeah.
We can't find sometimes. Some folks are shut in.
Right.
How's
And
that
our
work?
block captain, like I said, he's very involved. He makes it his business to go out and mingle with everybody. And as the fire safety representative, you know, you just go, I've gone online to the website, printed out whatever forms we needed, because it's all right there for you.
Beautiful.
And pass it over, and he took care of it. Firefighters came out, they installed the smoke detectors, and like I said, it was a good day.
Okay, so www.freedomfromfire.com.
Correct.
That's where they have all that information.
All the information, all the forms, you just go right in, click on it, and print it out.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk with our community about is that last leg of the stool. We talk about the smoke alarms, making sure that they're one on every level, working. We
Right.
talk about the home escape plan. And then we talk about the home fire safety checklist. But the last part is the fire safety pledge.
Right.
So I'm going to ask the audience to just take the pledge with me and with Miss Elizabeth Armstrong. Take the home fire safety pledge. I love my family, and I am responsible for their safety. Therefore, I pledge to have at least one working smoke alarm on each level of my home. I pledge to test the battery once each week and replace it or the smoke alarm as needed. I pledge that every family member will sleep with their bedroom door closed. I pledge to develop and practice a home escape plan. I pledge that if I cannot afford smoke alarms, I will contact the smoke alarm hotline by calling 311. All this I solemnly pledge. Thank you so much, Ms. Armstrong, for being a fire safety representative, and thank you for being a part of our Freedom from Fire overall program.
Wow.
It's with solid help from you and the neighbors like you that listen up and take that good orderly direction and stay safe in their homes.
All right, glad to do it.
Thank you very much. So this is another episode of Freedom from Fire. We're asking that you listen to these good orderly directions and do that for yourself. Working smoke alarms on every level, make sure that you test them. Make sure that you have a home escape plan where you sit down with your family, grab a cup of tea, some Kool-Aid, whatever you need, and sit down and make sure that everyone knows how to get out of the home just in case something breaks down and a fire develops in your home. Then you have to make sure that you have the home fire safety checklist. That'll give you a nice self-assessment so that you don't have anything in your home that could cause you harm. And the last thing, of course, is to take the pledge. I'm Fire Commissioner Lloyd Ayers. This is Freedom from Fire.